on deception, fakery, chicanery, and the magic that goes along with it. If he can get close to you, you're in trouble. He will trick you into thinking he's not able to do something, and then he'll turn around and tear your limb off. He will use deception to get in close on you. He will feign injury. He will make it look as if he's in the most difficult position in the world and not able to do anything, and no normal human being is, because he wasn't trained in a form of martial art. I met some of the breaks through Colin, and he hates it. And he hates it primarily because I live the lid. I make you aware that the guy over there who pretends to be humble and pretends to know nothing is a dangerous individual. And that's the basis for his art. Kung Fu Tao is you travelling his way, his method. Now today you're an experience, in some cases, for the first time fear. I'd never had that in training. Right? I got good at what I did. I was never a great fighter, but I knew how to put anyone down. I was good enough to stand up to just about anyone. Consequently, I was never scared. Every single time I trained, I had to spend at least half an hour working up the courage to walk into the venue where he was. Because I knew the expectation was I was going to live in terror for that next hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. I knew I was going to get hurt. The fact that when he made me aware of the littlest things that I started to pick up when a person carried a knife, I did not get a false sense of confidence with a knife. That's one of the things, if you work with Seafood, you won't have one. Just about every knife disarm I was ever trained doesn't work on him. And I know because I used to train knife disarms that I was pretty confident with. He'd use a real knife, and I assure you, you use a real knife, you're in a whole world of terror. Right down to the fact that he's having the speed of turning the knife over and using the blunt end on me, and I didn't know that there was a difference. All I felt was something cold go across my neck or the back of my foot, and it does change the way you view that whole thing. First rule, get out of there. I started to pick up when someone had changed body language enough ready to hit me. Now the guys that work the doors will tell you all those cues are what keep them alive. It's not the end bit where you're doing your stuff. It's that first instant. That's what Seafood changed to me. He made me aware of those things. And in that awareness, you will stay alive. The one single guiding principle that Seafood taught me that stood me to this day is, if you're going to fight, fight. Now that might sound really ridiculous, but most people don't. They get into a scuffle and they half-heartedly hit. They do the little things they do because they're hoping it's going to finish. They hope the other guy will lose his bottle and get out of it. And I'm here to tell you that if you want to fight and you make that decision to fight, and that's sometimes the stupidest thing you can do, but if you're going to fight, fight. Most people think it's just this little game, like you see the kids now thinking of Fight Club, and they go off to school and they all get in the blues, and some of you have seen the YouTube stuff and the things that kids bring in here because they think I'm going to tell them how wonderful and tough they are. And the reality is pathetic. If you're going to fight, fight. Now that's a terrifying thought. That's a total commitment to do serious damage. The other thing is, he taught me how to hit hard. Asked me specifically today for you to call him Colin. If you call him Colin during normal training time, I'm going to come up and give you the biggest slap across the back of the head because you guys in here have the privilege of knowing the real me. If you don't give him respect, then I'm going to really come down on you. Today though, he's giving you that right. Understand that that's his privilege to do so, but also understand where I come from with this. Right? He is my teacher. You give him that respect. So on behalf of Paul and myself, I wish you to give a round of applause to Seafood, and the day is his.
Thank you. Yeah. All right, gentlemen, I want you for the next 10 to 15 minutes, ladies as well, to limber up, warm up, starting from now. Put your piece of paper down, sheets, everyone start.
You all have your own warm-up routine, you all know the things that warm you up best.
Question regarding what today is for.
Yeah, I see it as an extension of the work that I've been doing with Geoff over the years, and I laughed and I said to Geoff before, I said, I can see all the stuff that he's been teaching me over the last 20 years, things that I do naturally, that for me, the balance, the position of the feet, the movements, the torsional motions, which when I talk to a lot of you, I always talk about torsional action at the same time. I can see where it comes from, but I also see the precursor work, which is balance work, the body position, skeletal position, all that's important in terms of understanding how the body's going to move when you actually apply pressure to it, and knowing beforehand that when you apply it for a particular area, the body's going to move in a particular direction, and that allows you then to be able to follow through with the body.
Geoff, I'll bring myself and
I'll feed off one question that was asked me, and I think this is poignant. Someone asked me, when do we learn blocks? And I think the thing is that you start to see that if you know how to do what Sifu is offering, there's no necessary. In fact, it gives you an understanding of where my martial arts was when Sifu first met me, that I was proud of my iron defence. I could just about cripple anyone with blocks and strikes to their limbs as they came in. I thought that was pretty cool. You suddenly realise you're in a whole new stadium when you play with someone like Sifu. The biggest thing apart from what you've already suggested is that you need to be preemptive, you need to be aware. There's one thing, you might have watched Sifu as he was walking around, his body's flying everywhere, and if you'd watched what actually was happening, he was moving in almost like he was in a separate dance. Bodies are coming down and he's moving and just simply stepping out of the way, and he's dancing around, and hopefully some of that's been caught on the DVD, because he actually was moving in response to lots of bodies flying around. Sometimes when you work, you're totally unaware of what other people are doing, and for those who are involved in self-defense and self-protection work and defense work, the reality is you need to be aware all the time. Awareness is what switches you on. There's a series of lectures based on the awareness, and they talk about a colour coding, that the average person spends their life in white, which means that they're totally unaware, they have no understanding. And I said to most of you stars today that the majority of you are yellow. That means you're aware that things can happen, so at least you're looking around. And then you have a state of orange, which is, hey, you're aware and you're going to do something, you're heightened. In red, you're in fight or flight. And in Sifu's case, he spends his life between that grey area between orange and red. That's where he is all the time. And that's really that sort of response. A lot of people kept going, how come he's so fast? How can he be aware of what's going on all the time? Well, that's because he's taking in all the information. And all the information gives him a series of actions. And before he thinks about it, he just goes after you. But where you want to live in your comfort zone is up to you. It's not paranoia to be aware that you can get injured. Now, the single biggest thing that keeps you safe is that awareness. And if you take that away, along with what you all individually stated, then the day's successful.
We're about to come to the conclusion to what this meeting has been about. I will now leave on behalf of myself, Geoff and Paul. We thank you again for your attendance. This will continue on. Thank you again.
Geoff will come out in front here.
And if you can take away all those things, then, as an introduction to the Dongfu Tao system, I think you had a pretty good opportunity. I think the man deserves a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.